What if I told you that a single thought, a single idea in your head could actually make you a millionaire? I know, it sounds wild, but that is the incredible promise of Napoleon Hill's legendary book, Think and Grow Rich. So for the next few minutes, we're going to break down his entire formula step by step. But let's be real for a second. Can a thought, a simple little thought, really make you rich? It seems almost too good to be true, doesn't it? And yet, this is the core concept that has sold tens of millions of books and built actual fortunes. So let's dig in and find out how. Now, you gotta understand, these principles weren't just some ideas that Napoleon Hill dreamed up one afternoon. No way. He spent a huge chunk of his life studying over 500 of the most successful people of his era. We're talking about the absolute titans, people like Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. And this wasn't some quick weekend study either. This massive undertaking took him more than 25 years to finish. He was on a mission actually commissioned by Andrew Carnegie himself, to see if there was a universal formula for success that absolutely anyone could use. And this quote? This is the absolute heart of the entire book. The whole philosophy boils down to this. A thought stops being just some random idea floating around in your head and becomes a real physical force. But, and this is the key part, it only happens when you mix it with three things: a crystal clear purpose, sheer persistence, and a burning, all-consuming desire. So, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with that core premise. Then, we'll walk through three essential action steps, and we'll wrap it all up with what Hill called the final level of mastery. Let's do it.
All right, first up, the premise. Before we can even get to the how, we really need to get our heads around the what. And look, this isn't just some modern self-help idea. It actually has a pretty deep historical foundation.
This whole journey kicked off way back in 1910. It started with a challenge from the steel magnate Andrew Carnegie. And it all led to the book being published in 1938, a guide that was tested and proven through the real lives of the world's greatest achievers. So let's build on that premise. It's time for step one, the foundation. This is all about the mental groundwork. Hill was convinced that every single great achievement, with zero exceptions, starts with two key building blocks in your mind. The very first block is desire, and Hill is super specific about this. This is not some casual, oh, I'd like to be rich someday kind of wish. Nope. He describes it as a burning obsession, a white-hot, definite goal that you are thinking about constantly. It's the starting point for everything. And he gives us 6 super practical steps to make that desire real. 1, be specific. Know the exact amount. 2, decide what you're going to give in return. There's no free lunch. 3, set a hard deadline. 4, create a plan, and this is crucial, start immediately. 5, write it all down. And 6, read that statement out loud, twice a day, every day, to really burn it into your mind. Now, the second foundational block is faith. But this isn't about blind hope or just wishing on a star. For Hill, faith is an active process. It's the rock-solid conviction that you build by constantly feeding your goal to your subconscious mind. He called this autosuggestion. You basically convince yourself on a deep, deep level that it's already a done deal. Okay, so once you have that foundation of desire and faith locked in, it's time for step 2, the action plan. This is where we figure out how to take that internal fire and actually bring it into the real world. Your number one tool for this is your imagination, which Hill called the workshop of the mind. And he said there are 2 types. First, there's synthetic imagination. Think of this like taking ideas you already know and just remixing them into new combinations. But then there's creative imagination. This is where brand new ideas, those sudden hunches or flashes of inspiration, seem to pop into your head out of nowhere. But here's the thing. You don't have to cook up all these ideas by yourself. And that brings us to maybe Hill's most famous concept, the mastermind. He said that when 2 or more people align in perfect harmony toward a single goal, their combined brain power literally creates a third, invisible, and way more powerful mind. It's like 1 + 1 = 10. And you might be asking, does this stuff actually work? Well, just look at this number. The book points to Charles Schwab and his team at U.S. Steel. Their mastermind alliance was credited with generating a profit increase of $600 million. That's an astronomical, almost unbelievable amount of money at the time. That's the power we're talking about. All right, on to step 3, which I like to call the unstoppable engine. You've got your desire, you've got your faith, you've got a plan. But what happens when you inevitably hit a wall? This part is all about the internal forces that make you, well, unstoppable. And the key here is persistence.
But pay attention to how Hill defines it. It's not just about gritting your teeth and pushing through. He says that real persistence is the natural outcome of a desire that is strong enough. You see, when your why is powerful enough, the how just kind of takes care of itself. Persistence becomes a habit driven by that obsession.
So what stops persistence? One word: fear. Hill identified these 6 ghosts that haunt us and paralyze our actions. You've got the fear of poverty, of criticism, of bad health, of losing love, of getting old, and of death. Hill argued that to have any shot at success, you have to look these fears in the eye and conquer them.
Okay, now we get to one of Hill's most interesting and powerful ideas. He saw sex energy as the most potent human drive there is. He taught that if you can learn to redirect or transmute this energy away from just the physical act, you can channel it into unbelievable creativity, enthusiasm, and drive for your goals.
And all of this brings us to the final level of the entire philosophy. Once you've really mastered all those foundational steps, you start to gain access to something much bigger, something Hill called infinite intelligence.
And your gateway to this is your subconscious mind. The best way to think about it is like a radio transmitter. It takes the thoughts from your conscious mind, especially the ones supercharged with strong emotions like faith and desire, and it broadcasts them out to this universal intelligence. It's the engine that literally translates your thoughts into your reality.
And when you've mastered all the other principles, you finally unlock the peak, the apex of it all, the 6th sense. This is that gut feeling, that unexplainable hunch, that flash of insight that gives you the perfect idea at the perfect moment. It's your direct line to that creative imagination we were talking about earlier.
You know, when it's all said and done, Hill's entire philosophy really comes down to this single, iconic line. It's a declaration of your own power. Your destiny isn't shaped by your circumstances. It's shaped by the thoughts you choose to hold in your mind. Which really just leaves us with one final, very powerful question. If your thoughts truly do create your reality, and if you are the one in complete control of them, what will you choose to think?